Good evening, friends. I'd like to welcome you back into our store here in Davidoff of London. As we approach Christmas and a cold, cold season beckons, I've been able to convince my father not to go home to his delightful dinner, but to stay with me tonight and enjoy some festive pleasures, which we will be sharing with you. Dad, thank you so much for giving me your time this evening. I know it's precious.
Eddie, thank you for inviting me to be here tonight.
Yeah, you're always here.
Being with you is probably the only next best thing to a lovely dinner that Mom prepares. It's a pleasure to be here. It's lovely to be with you, old cigar lovers, again. And I hope you will enjoy the few new items Eddie's going to show us and taste as well.
Thank you very much, Dad. I'm not going to get in the way of you and your next cigar for very long. So before I talk too much about the new Davidoff Year of the Dragon, let's get it open and get one to my father. Otherwise, he's not a happy bunny or dragon. Dad, would you like to slide it out?
Oh, God, this is a great honor and a pleasure.
Look at that. Of course. Typical Davidoff excellence. Look at that. Gorgeous packaging. There's a mother of pearl inlay here to denote Year of the Dragon. It's 10 cigars, and of course, what we're seeing is a double Corona format, a little thicker than the traditional Cuban measurement. It's a 50 ring gauge by 7.5 inches. A beautiful, beautiful cigar, as you would expect from the limited edition Zodiac series. This is the first repetition. I believe back in 2012, Davidoff released the first, arguably the first Zodiac series, although it was not in red, it was not with the special bands, but it was nevertheless to commemorate the Year of the Dragon, which incidentally kicks off towards the end of January in 2024. So here we are. History is repeating itself, and what a repetition it is. Davidoff have put together, oh, thank you, Dad. Davidoff have put together, of course, a complex and hybrid blending. We know there's an Ecuadorian wrapper on this beautiful cigar. We know there's a Dominican binder. And we know there's quite a complex and elaborate set of fillers inside, combining Mexican, Dominican, Nicaraguan. And I've been reliably informed that if you accumulate the age of all the leaves that have gone into this cigar, you get to 60 years. Seems like a big number, or older than me. Now, something else I'd like to mention, which you won't notice until you prepare your cigar, hopefully to enjoy. It's got something called a shaggy foot. And no, that's not a hairy Armenian foot. It is, in fact, a little feature that allows the smoker to experience the flavor profile of the cigar without the influence of the wrapper. So there's a gap between the end and when the wrapper starts. Those of you who aren't sure what the wrapper is, that's the outer dress of the cigar, the beautiful, beautiful part you see. So this will give you an intro into the flavor profile, and then, of course, the wrapper will kick in after about 2-3 minutes of smoking on this length, and then it'll evolve, it'll change. So, Dad, what do you think about it? What's your first impressions?
It's beautifully made, as always. The format reminds me of the beautiful Davidoff Dom Perignon cigars.
A little longer, right? The Dom Perignon, if I'm not mistaken, was the Churchill size?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. How long is this exactly?
This is a little bit longer. This is 7.5 inches. I think the Dom Perignon was 7 inches, but who's counting inches, right?
Well, they say the taste of the pudding isn't trying it or eating it.
The proof of the pudding.
Proof of the pudding.
The proof of the dragon pudding at that.
Now, would you cut this?
Well, I'm going to go with a straight cut. May I cut yours, Dad, or would
No,
you like
I'm going to go for my
the same
straight
thing?
special cutter.
Oh, well,
So you're not recommending the V cut on this, are you, Eddie?
well, not recommending, but not saying you shouldn't. This is the right ring gauge to engage with a V cut. So if you do want to do that, absolutely. I tend to use V cuts more where the draw might be problematic, too firm, in other words. So on this occasion, I'm going to open up the full diameter using, unfortunately, an inexpensive but also very light cutter, which should do the job.
But effective.
But effective, exactly.
It has a beautiful draw without lighting it. You try it.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful.
Tastes delicious, even not lit.
That's interesting. That do you do that with every cigar you smoke? Do you
I do.
a pre-light draw?
I do. Somehow it's part of the pleasure of smoking, lighting, preparing, and smoking a cigar. And it's quite important because that's the first indication it will give you that if the cigar is drawing properly or not, if it's been rolled properly or not. And with this, it's just beautiful.
And of course, there is a subtle flavor that comes through. Nothing like burnt tobacco, but there is something there. It's a little bit of the history of the fermentation coming through. Dad, I can see you're going with our very precious Davidoff matches, which don't seem to be made anymore. Is that right?
That's right.
Or at least
this
not
box
here.
is part of my old collection. I don't know why it's not being made in that format anymore.
Viewers, if I can show this to you, very elegant. And this was always the box with a little message from Zino Davidoff on the back. Davidoff, the parent company, will probably not be happy I'm saying this, but all of you, go to your local Davidoffs and tell them to bring back the matches. They're the best cigar matches I've ever used. The packaging is gorgeous, and perhaps there's a real legislative reason why they've discontinued them. But if there isn't, please tell them, bring it back. We want them back. You got it going, Dad? Do you need another match?
No, not at all.
Ooh. Well, I'm going to, as you probably all know, differentiate myself from my father on the light. I've got my beautiful Legrand here. And because we're indoors, I'm also going to go for a soft flame light, as opposed to my normal impatient blue flame.
When you get to my age, Eddie, then you will know the difference. It's beautiful smoke.
It's coming together very well.
It's a lovely blue smoke as well.
But one thing I'm noticing with mine as I'm lighting it is the shaggy foot is expanding ever so slightly. That's principally because the wrapper's not there to hold it in place. It won't be a problem. It's still going to be a beautiful cigar to smoke, but interesting that happens. And I think if you have the same experience, don't distress. Nothing is going to damage that cigar.
It's got such a beautiful blue smoke to it, Eddie. Can you see it in the light?
Yes. It reminds me of when the police came to arrest me, that blue light.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's a delicious cigar. Having the name, the Year of the Dragon, I thought it would be a bit of a dragon as well, but it's so tender and smooth.
Well, interestingly, we probably all know a dragon in our lives. I can say that my daughter Stella, being born in 2012, is officially a dragon. So when I call her that, I hope she doesn't get upset. That's the dragon I know in my life.
She's a darling dragon. I think you should put a box aside for her 18th birthday. As a matter of fact, we should put a box aside for every grandchild I have. 4 boxes.
That's a really good idea, Dad. It's a shame we didn't do that with the other zodiacs. I know, actually, I probably have a rat somewhere. My son is a rat, like me. Apolline and Allegra, what are they? I guess Allegra must be.
I don't even know what I am. I'm a lamb, probably.
Allegra is just after rat. What came after rat? Something came after rat. And Apolline is going to be, I don't know. We'll work it out. Anyhow. Could be a tiger.
So, tell us a bit more about the cigar, Eddie. The lovely packaging.
Well,
how many in the box?
There's 10.
See, there's 10.
There's 10, and it's a it's a beautiful serving tray. Really, you keep this afterwards, and it becomes a standalone, beautifully made object. Of course, the cigars are the most important part of it, but Davidoff each year they seem to have upped the ante on what you get with the box, and in most cases, you're going to have a lot of homeowners running out of room because we don't want to throw the empty boxes away. They're so beautiful. There's a roaring trade on eBay, empty cigar boxes from various manufacturers, but the Davidoff ones seem to carry a significant premium, and I can see why.
Well, we have a dear friend, Jeff. He makes guitars out of empty cigar boxes, and I'm sure he will be delighted to make a nice guitar. It has to be a 6-string one on this one.
Well, it's big enough.
Not a 3-string, yes.
Maybe even a bass guitar by the sound. By the look of that.
Yes, that will be beautiful.
Yes, for any of you who enjoy cigar box guitars, his name is Jeff G-Man Hawkins, Geeman. He makes some beautiful cigar box guitars here in the UK. Look him up on Facebook for sure.
I think I'll ask him to do one for me with the Year of the Dragon.
Oh, maybe even a harp, Dad. What do you think? We could extend it out. So we're going to continue to enjoy the cigar and report back, but so far it's been a gorgeous beginning. It's got a little bit of spice on my palate. What about yours, Dad?
I don't really feel the spice too much. Very little of that.
So would you describe it on the lighter side?
At the moment, I've just started. It's the first centimeter of this cigar, so it's too early to judge about the strength of it. But I'm finding it very smooth beginning, very light, smooth, lots of flavor to it. Very pleasant. Of course, it will go down even better with that lovely bottle you have there.
I'm pleased you said that, Dad. That's a great segue into what I have behind me here. I didn't do it on purpose, i.e. the color scheme, but if I may, I'll explain a little bit about this amazing bottle of rum I have with me. This is Foursquare Triptych, and it's a blended rum. It's incorporated 3 separate vintages, so 3 separate barrels as far as I know. A 2004 ex-bourbon barrel, a 2005 ex-Madeira barrel, and a 2007 virgin barrel, so not previously used. And Foursquare, for those of you who don't know, is one of the most extraordinary rum distilleries out there. It's in family ownership, has been for generations, and the current, how do we call him? The current wizard and family member behind this beautiful, beautiful rum is Richard Seal. And it just so happens that Richard also enjoys cigars almost as much as I enjoy rum. So we had an opportunity to exchange our relevant areas of expertise, and he left this with me.
I noticed it's very strong, Eddie, is it?
You say it, it's 56% ABV, but that is actually quite well behaved for a rum of this distinction. In recent years, rum has moved on from being a purely blended, relatively inexpensive drink, much more towards the specialist single cask and vatted cask type production that you get in the whiskey world. And of course, when you taste it, I hope you will find it certainly not strong. In fact, very delicious.
Only one way to find out.
Well, I'm going to open this bottle with a huge thank you to Richard and his family for giving us this honor. It's a very difficult bottle to find, by the way, so I do this hesitantly, but you know what? Life is there to be enjoyed. Everything we have, we can't take with us.
Father, yes?
Especially with you, Dad. Absolutely right. That is beautiful. So there is a further connection for this. This has actually been imported by Velier, if I'm not mistaken, which is Luca Gargano from the Velier company in Italy. And he's the man accredited with really developing and building up the wonderful expertise and collectability of modern rums. Now, forgive me whilst I play with this. It's a little bit more of a complicated opening than most bottles I'm used to, and I think I've neglected to have a blade ready.
Can I give you my blade?
Well, luckily I've got mine. If I'm doing this wrong, Richard, please forgive me. So here we are, Dad, the Foursquare Triptych. We're going to do our first taste of this rum. It's my first tasting of it as well. I hope you enjoy it. To your good health, Dad, to the wonderful cigar you're smoking, and to the wonderful father that you are. Yeah. Cheers.
The only thing better than a good father is a good son.
Ah.
To your good health, Eddie John.
Thank you, Dad.
Oh, it smells delicious. Every time you find these delicious rums for me, I think it doesn't get any better, or it won't get any better, and yet it does. Smells delicious.
Oh my God, that is gorgeous. And those different casks are coming into play already. It's got a long finish with I think it must be the sherry cask, the ex-Madeira. The bourbon is, I think, a little bit on the front, so that's probably the first one I'm meeting as it comes into my palate. Mm. Mm.
You know what? I think this is more of a dragon than the cigar.
But the strength, although, of course, it's 56%, I don't think it overwhelms the flavor or the sweetness or the personality, and it's living on my palate. It's delicious. It's not disappearing. Oh, that is beautiful. Richard, I'm going to raise my glass to you and your family as well to thank you for this. What a
thank you, Richard.
Absolutely impeccable rum. And we are going to continue the pairing, of course, with this dragon here. I may need to relight. Mm. Mm-hmm.
I think that was a very good choice, Eddie.
I think it's working well, no?
The combination of both of them, it's sort of...
I know you're used to the Havana Club 7 year. We all are really, but this is, I think, a step up from that, no? Or several steps up.
No, this is beautiful. It's in a different class of its own.
Mm.
I would definitely not use this as a mixer. Not even some ice in it, just as it is.
That's high praise indeed coming from my father, who spent a lifetime enjoying rum. Oh, that's working beautifully. Mm.
This is lovely, Eddie. Good choice. Well done. Well done, my son.
Thank you, Dad. Well, the fun doesn't end here. We're going to take a few moments, clear the mess we've made, and I'm going to rejoin you. Some more exciting things to showcase.